Good morning, friends. It's Miss Tracy here, and I am here with your Bible story for Sunday morning. This morning, our Bible story is it's about a really cool thing. It's about Joshua, and it's about the city of Jericho. Well, you might wonder, how does this relate to Jesus? Well, we'll hear about that. And you might wonder why I have a little flute. Well, I really can't play the flute, and it doesn't make much noise when I blow on it. But I keep trying. Anyway, and yes, it's my own. I get to keep it when I'm finished with this because I won't want somebody else putting their lips on mine. So all the stories in the Bible are true. We know that. So this is a story that really happened. Well, we had learned about Moses, and he was leading the Israelites, and they were trying to travel to the land that God promised them. And they were really disobedient. What does disobedient mean? Well, that means they weren't listening to God, and they weren't following his rules. Whenever he would give them rules and tell them things that they were supposed to do, oftentimes they would do something else. They weren't very good at following the rules. How about you? Are you good at following the rules? Sometimes I am, and sometimes I'm not. I make mistakes, just like these people did. Well, after Moses had died, God gave his people a new leader, and that leader's name was Joshua. Well, Joshua led these people, and they were really tired of the desert. They were tired of traveling. They were tired. They lived in tents. Can you imagine living in a tent all the time? Not just like for camping here and there. That's kind of fun. I like to go and stay in a tent to camp, but to live there all the time, that would not be comfortable. And to get up and move all the time. They were always moving, looking for their land. Well, finally Joshua brings them to their land, and instead of the desert, they can see trees and green, and it's beautiful. And they're so excited. Well, guess what? There's a big city there keeping them from going in. It's this big walls all around it, and this place is called Jericho. And it had these people in it that had swords and all kinds of stuff, and they were like, ooh. Joshua was like, well, I guess we're gonna have to, fight them to be able to get our land. Well, God had a plan for them, and I'm going to show you a picture here of the city. So here's the city of Jericho, if you can see it. So that's a picture of it, and it was like that, and it was very tall walls, like taller than you are, taller than I am, and it was really big around. It was pretty large, and so, it was kind of getting scary for God's people, because they thought, well, look, this is supposed to be our land, but how are we supposed to take it? So Joshua gathered the army and gathered them all around, and he said, hey, look, God's got a plan for us. So we just have to trust in what God tells us to do. So they're all ready to go, and they're standing there, and I'm sure the people that were in the city of Jericho, they were probably thinking, okay, there's no way they're getting in. And they were probably getting ready to fight also. Well, Joshua heard the plan from God, and Joshua probably thought, what? That's kind of a crazy plan, but he obeyed the Lord and listened to him and did what God wanted him to do. So he told the people, this is our plan. this is what we're going to do. So they marched around the city walls. Well, it was pretty good size that they had to march around. That was pretty long. So they marched around it every day. Every day they would march around, and I'm sure those people standing on top of the walls with their swords were probably laughing at them, thinking, what are you all doing? It's not like you're going to get in. So they marched and marched, and here's a picture. Well, I'll show you the picture after I tell you. So on the seventh day, I'll read it here. On the seventh day, God told his people to march around the city not one time, but 7 times. Then God told everybody to make as much noise as they possibly could. Well, has anybody ever told you to make as much noise as you could? Oh my goodness, that's a lot of noise. And that was a lot of people. So they all made noise. They had horns and they blew their horns, and all the people without horns just yelled, woo! I imagine it was really, really loud. Well, they did all that, and then the walls came tumbling down. Here's a picture. Here's a picture. You can see the people. You can see some of them with horns and some of them just shouting, and the walls fell down. Well, that was like, Now, they entered their new land, and the land became theirs. And you might wonder, okay, how does this relate to Jesus? Well, let me tell you. So, Joshua said, God has brought us here safely. And now, will you do what he tells you to do? They all said, I promise I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna follow God's rules. Well, he said, you need to promise not to pray to any other gods, and only God can make you happy, only the true God. And they were like, yes, we can do it, we can do it. We're going to pray to our true God. We're going to celebrate him. We're not going to do bad stuff. And well, guess what? They didn't keep their promise. So many years later, God warned them that things would go badly for God's people. So they ended up, years later, losing their homes. And then they were made to be slaves. Oh, they were slaves once. Now they were made to be slaves again. And God's plan, though, it was still working. These people, not only did they have to be slaves, but then they were sent to different lands. They were moved all around and separated. They were all together. They just had to follow God's rules, and they didn't. Well, God's plan was still at work, and one day he would give his people another leader and another home. Okay, but this home no one could ever take from them. Isn't that exciting? They're talking about heaven. No one can take that away. And the next leader that's going to come, that's going to be Jesus. Okay, that's what that's talking about. So it's super exciting, and it's a great story. I hope that you have the Jesus Storybook Bible, and I hope you're following along with our reading plan to read this whole Bible this year, this school year. If you need to get one still, just give me a call. I can make that happen for you. I hope to see you all soon. I love you guys, and I miss you, and I hope to see you here Sunday. Hey, coming up, we're going to have a special fall event for our kids that are in kindergarten through 5th grade. We're going to have an outside service on November 1st. So make sure you wear your jacket that day and you register just like you would register any other day. Bring a friend. There's going to be prizes if you bring a friend, and we're going to be outside, and we're going to have some fall games, and we're going to have some fun and some fellowship. This is all during our kids' worship hour. We're going to worship still, and we're going to hear about Jesus. So join me. That's November 1st. Hope to see you guys all soon. Bye.